Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little bit of a different video for you. Today we're talking about the progression of disease. How does disease begin? What is happening so that we end up with autoimmune conditions and all different types of diseases? So I'm here to explain that process. It is going to be a little bit scientific, so I'm going to try to put as many visuals as I can to help explain my point. You might have to watch this video through a couple times. I will not be giving any supplements or treatments. This is strictly just, and I don't want to say treatments because I'm not a doctor, but no supplements or protocols or anything in this video. This video is just to explain the progression of disease, and it really is a lot of good information. So I highly recommend listening to it in its entirety to really help you understand what is happening in our body to get so sick. So to begin discussing how disease starts, we need to think back to the very beginning, which is the moment of our conception. We are all given a set of genes passed down from our grandparents to our parents and then to us. So genes represent molecular blueprints necessary in manufacturing the complex proteins that provide for the cell's structure and function. So defects in these genes, aka mutations, may greatly impair the quality of one's life. Epigenetics proves that genes can be turned on or off within the first few days of conception. Because of this, genes aren't as important. Since they haven't changed in the last 40 years, they're not as important as the expression of these genes, which changes based on environmental influences such as diet, lifestyle, etc. Attention has shifted from DNA genes to the cell membrane that provides us an interface between the ever-changing environment, so not self, and the enclosed, controlled environment of the cytoplasm of the cell, which is self. A quick example of what I mean by gene expression. Epigenetic studies have shown that rats fed a low-protein diet for the first 4 days of pregnancy had babies that were prone to high blood pressure. Another study showed that men who smoked before puberty had sons who were significantly more overweight at 9 years of age, as the trait, the overweight trait, is carried on the Y chromosome. There are so many more examples about how environment alters our cells, either for positive or negative, but these are just a few that I wanted to mention. So rather than focusing on genes, it is more important to focus on the environmental effects on the cell membrane, as Dr. Thom states. Chronic disease is an expression of adaptive physiology, not a mistake in gene expression. What we do day to day will determine our future. So again, just to repeat that, chronic disease is an expression of adaptive physiology, not a mistake in gene expression. So what we do day to day will determine our future. Disease is described as the interruption, cessation, or disorder of body functions, systems, or organs. So essentially, the body comes out of balance and is not able to enable its self-healing mechanisms. So once homeostasis is achieved, the body's self-healing capabilities will permit a cure to happen. So again, disease is an imbalance in the body, and essentially the body is out of balance, and therefore it can't enable its self-healing mechanisms. It can't heal itself. So once homeostasis or a balance is achieved, the body then can kind of enable its self-healing capabilities to kind of create a cure or permit a cure to happen. So to explain how disease begins to form, it really all starts with the individual. Aside from genetics, the first trigger for imbalance in the body begins at the emotional sphere. Stress, trauma, lack of spirituality, so you have nothing to believe in, negative emotions, etc. These begin to bring the psychological sphere out of balance. It creates toxicity in your thoughts, which is the first stage to developing disease. Studies have shown that people with cancer who believe that they're going to heal, who have positive thoughts, who have family supporting them, who have a spirituality to believe in, so they believe in God or in something greater than themselves, these studies show that these patients have a much higher chance of going into remission than those who are negative, have very negative thoughts around healing, and have nothing bigger to believe in. So they don't believe in God or some sort of larger force out there. So it just goes to show the power of your mind and how it can really alter your health, either positively or negatively. The second trigger for disease is, for disease to begin, is our lifestyle. So poor nutrition, behaviors, poor detoxification or elimination from the body. So constipation, not drinking enough water. These are all, different ways that I mean of poor detoxification or elimination. Also a lack of exercise. You're not sweating. You're not getting circulation happening. These are all the second triggers for disease. The third trigger is our constitution or our temperament. Temperament and miasm. So a miasm is a recreational mode, a pattern of reacting to stress and other forms of emotion and physical stimuli that has been ingrained in us. I'm not going to go into detail about miasms in this video. However, what you want to know is as long as our energy patterns or miasms remain in balance, we are healthy. Once they shift out of balance and one miasm dominates the other, that is when you're open for disease. Over the years, as we are exposed to these three triggers, our body begins to come out of balance and we have poor immune response in the body. A healthy immune response is having a strong immune system, and then say a challenge appears to the immune system, whether it's from poor diet, stress, etc. Bacteria, virus, vaccinations, these are all stressors for our immune system. If we have a healthy immune system, our immune system picks up that stressor. The first thing it does is it creates it responds instantly and creates inflammation and a fever. Typically, the fever would be successful, the virus, bacteria, pathogen would be eliminated from the body or dies and neutralized, and your body would return back to a state of health. However, an unhealthy or weakened immune system develops when we are exposed to psychological strains, poor lifestyle choices, and miasmatic imbalances. Our immune system recognizes the acute trigger, so again, virus, pathogen, toxin. It creates inflammation and a fever, etc., to try to neutralize the pathogen or invader. However, the fever and inflammation are ineffective. So the immune system moves to the next level and starts to deposit toxins deep into cells to protect itself with passive defense, since it can no longer defend itself. This is the start of developing disease. Because the body is unable to completely eliminate all the toxins via fever, diarrhea, sweat, etc., it starts to accumulate them and places them in specific areas in the body. The first stage of deposition is things like cholesterol, uric acids, and triglycerides. During this stage is where things like gout, rheumatism, atherosclerosis, and other deposits build up in the body. Typically, heavy metals and uric acids, which are acidic, build up around the joints and cells around the joints, which is what causes arthritis. Cholesterol builds up in arteries, which is causing atherosclerosis, etc. Once the toxins are deposited, the acute disease lingers and eventually becomes chronic. Once these toxins have been in the body for some time, degeneration by these toxins begins. This level is far more dangerous because at this point, our body tissues have become clogged with a variety of toxins and our elimination pathways are congested. The regulating system in our body works very poorly at this stage, and the body is incapable of defending itself. Degeneration begins with slow destruction, aka autoimmune disease, or rapid destruction with things like cancer and AIDS. So again, degeneration will begin with either a slow destruction, which is an autoimmune disorder, or rapid destruction, which is something like cancer and AIDS. Every organism has levels of tolerance or thresholds that are eventually exceeded if the normal eliminative reactions, liver, kidneys, colon, lungs, etc., are suppressed. The inability of our body to react in the degradation stage is what leads to its destruction. So you have a lot of toxins building up in the body, but your body cannot react. It cannot drain the toxins out. It cannot neutralize the toxins due to weakened immunity and too much toxicity that the body starts to break down. You either develop an autoimmune disorder, which is a slower degradation, or a quick degradation of the body, like cancer or AIDS. So this is really how disease develops. This is a progression of disease. It happens over several years, or for some, several decades. However, it begins from the moment of conception and the environmental factors that alter gene expression. So some children are born and their parents were drinking or smoking or highly stressed or some other type of disease, and that is what alters the expression of the gene. Everyone has different genetic mutations and different genes, but it's how they are expressed is what leads to disease in the future. From there, every dietary and lifestyle choice you make, your traumas, stressors, religious views, etc., all play into whether or not your body is able to self-regulate and detoxify efficiently, or whether it begins to deposit toxins in the body, which leads to disease. Drainage with homeopathics, deep breathing, a clean diet, regular movement, positive thinking, proper sleep, and enjoyment is how you can rebalance your body. So I really hope that this kind of gives you an explanation as to how disease forms and what happens when toxicity starts to build up in the body, and how your body either quickly breaks down or slowly breaks down through cancer and AIDS, things like that, or autoimmune disorders. This is something that is, I'm going to say the word, plaguing our countries, especially North America in particular, because we have such bad food, such bad lifestyle, super stressed, a ton of toxicity in our air, and it overwhelms our body systems. Our elimination pathways cannot keep up with the toxicity that is coming into our bodies, and as a result, our body panics, and in order to defend itself or protect itself, it starts to store these toxins into our cells. So it stores cholesterol into our arteries and you get atherosclerosis. It stores heavy metals or uric acids into joints and you end up with rheumatism. So these are just some examples. There's a lot more out there, but this is hopefully giving you a good idea of what's happening in the body, and hopefully gives you that motivation to try to detoxify and start to regulate your system. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and to listen. If you have any questions about anything, please leave them in the comments down below and I will try to get back to everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.